we are going to do something a little different tonight. Right here, Gimel. Let's go back. Let's review a little bit. Then what we're going to do, we're going to get to a new part. And the new part, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to review with you simply as a means of getting you into this particular section. And then I'm going to assign it to you for homework over the next coming week, so that you will prepare it, because it's very, very difficult to lecture on this particular section. But anyway, for the meantime, let's go back and refresh your memory. Rav Nachman Shayiro Das, Moshe Kosev Eitz HaChaim Shebenatzpach Shemantzpach. The root of Yira is in Das, as it says in Eitz Chaim, in the Sefer Eitz Chaim, the book of Eitz Chaim, by Rav Chaim Vital, that these ending closing letters, these final letters, of which there are 5, Men, Nun, Tzadi, Pei, and Chet, Manspach, these times, these are called Gvurot. They're called Gvurot. In other words, they're the opposite of Chesed, because what they are, they close things, as opposed to Chesed, which opens. Chesed is an extension, an outward type of a movement, whereas Gvura, Din, actually is closed. It's limitation. It's inward. It puts an end to the possibilities. So, as it were, the letters here, these final letters, they place an end to the possibility of what the word can actually mean and what it can actually be. So it says, Eitz Chaim says, Rav Chaim Vital says, Shemantzbach ubedas dezer anpin, is in the sphera of das of zer anpin. Moshe Kosev Os tovin yiras Hashem v'das Elokim timtza, as we have learned, as it says in the pasuk in Mishlei, then you will understand Yirat Hashem and Das Elokim, awareness, consciousness, knowledge of God, you will find. V'ikra das hu belev. Okay, so this is Shorish HaYira hu das. The root of Yira is das, and the Ikr Hadas hu belev. Okay, the essence, the main part of das is within the lev. Moshe Kosev lo nosan lechem lev lo das. The pasuk says, Devarim, I've not given them a heart to understand. The concept of lev being the instrument, the instrumentality of das. Okay, it's not referring to intellect so much, although there's an intellectual aspect to it, because das is knowledge, that which you know. And that which you know comes to you not only, it comes to you via sensations, by the empirical knowledge and understanding, by the senses, as well as by intuition, as well as by experience, to the point that you know something. It's not something which you intellectualize and derive by syllogism necessarily. Das is knowledge. I know it. I do not have to be proven. I do not be proven that such and such act is the case. So Gam Sham Iker Hayir says also there is the essence of Yira. Okay, all of this is that Das and Yira is in the Lev. Okay, now what we had said over there is the following: is that Lev obviously is not referring to the heart, anatomically speaking. That's not what we're talking about. And it's not necessarily just something which is some type of cognitive machinery of the body. It's not. What it's referring to, it's referring to the sphera of Bina. The sphere of Bina, which is going to take on great significance throughout this Torah, as well as in so many others, of course, is the engine of the spherotic edifice. Takes the Chachma, the seed, effectively, of Chachma into it. It germinates it. it goes ahead and differentiates it. It goes ahead and puts it into various formats that can then effectively be used throughout the rest of the spherotic body. Okay, so lave, okay, which has a notion of a heart. The reason why it has an aspect of a heart associated with it, because it has this mimicking notion of a heart. In other words, it takes in, it pulls in, it draws in chachma, this kernel, this chachma, then it does what it does within it, and then pushes it out. So you have this drawing in, pushing out, drawing in, pushing out. So it has this kind of an aspect of a pump. And because it looks and acts like a pump, it is referred to, often metaphorically speaking, as the lathe. Okay? Is everybody with me? I have this trepidation that not everybody is there. Tell me, please confirm to me that everybody is there. Can you hear and that everyone is there? Please. Hearing and taking notes on top of that. Good. I would suggest that we just not take notes, we just hear. How's that? And then in the coming week, then take notes. Just a little experiment. Just have an experiment over here for a bit. But anyway, do what you want to do. That's okay too. Good. All right. So Rav Nachman continues over here at the top of the page. Kamo she'amru chachmeinu zechronu levracha dofer hamasam l'leiv ne'emar ba v'yoresu me'elokecha hainu sheyeda memi yit yarei. There's that which is given over the heart. Okay, in other words, that which takes place within the heart. In other words, takes place internally. So I don't know if you have Yiras Hashem. I don't know if you fear God. Okay, this is something which goes on with you. It certainly has manifestations outside of yourself, outward, external manifestations, but it's something which is basically within the individual, develops, generates, and of course then works with. And that which goes on in the heart, of course, it says in the Gemara over there, you shall fear the Lord, your Lord. In other words, you have to know who it is from whom you fear. How do you know? Fear. In other words, the whole concept of year, as we explained, is rooted in da'as, das. He's talking there about the Yirat Haromos, the exaltedness of God. So here, in that particular chapter, Rav Nachman went ahead and situated for us the concept of Yira and Das. Okay, both of them with each other, and then of course both having their essential rooting in Bina at the Sephirot chart. Thank you very much, Devora, for bringing that. If you take a look at the Sephirotic chart, you will see why Gvura, Din, and Das are rooted in Bina, in the Lathe. You see that? Okay, because, ultimately, number one, that which is drawn into Bina from Chachma then gets shunted the rest of the Sephirotic edifice by means of Das. So, of course, then Das has its root in Bina, it's directly connected to Bina, and actually then receives the outflow and transfers as like a neural system, as it were, again. And then Gvura has its root, of course, in Bina. You see where it's located on the left side over there again, and has its essence, is anchored in Bina. We see that, of course, and then everything ultimately, connects and goes up into Das, because Das is the consciousness, is the awareness, is the knowledge, ultimately of anything which goes on over here in our world has to somehow connect to Das. The Das, you have to know and understand, have consciousness, apprehension of. So Das is involved with everything. If Das is involved with everything, then of course it's connected to Bina. It has to be directly connected to Bina. And of course, Yira has its root in Das. Ultimately, you have to know, from whom you have fear, about whom you're fearing. We're talking here about, in that particular case, Yirat Romamut. You're talking about the exaltedness of the Creator, not just as that which you're scared of in this world. Okay, now we continue with os number Daled. Os number Daled. Ucheshemagia lebchinas das. Person reaches das, the aspect of das. Zochel hasogas hatorah kosov ani chmo shechanti orm. This talked about last week. Okay, is that when one reaches the aspect of das, okay, one can then merit apprehensions of the Torah. We're not talking about stam apprehension. We're talking about very special apprehensions, as in fact the verse in Mishlei states, Ani chochma shochanti orma. I, wisdom, dwell with the cunning, orma, karma, right? And we made a big deal about this word orma last week, if you will remember. Remember that. How did we, does anybody remember? If you do, you'll get extra credit for this. And not only I will tell Rabbi Kramer as well as Rabbi Katz, okay, of your achievement. And it will, I can't even begin to tell you the benefits you will receive. But how did we deal with this word orma? What did we do with it last week? Do you remember? Do you remember the Zohar that we brought with it? Anybody? Chat. I'm going to look at this right now. Yeah, that's what the word cunning means. That's true. But what did we do with it? What did with this word? What did we do with this word? Do you remember the Zohar we brought in? We read through completely. And if you don't remember that, although it's not good, I will forgive you, of course, and you will get a second chance by going ahead and looking into the archives, reviewing that as part and parcel of your homework assignment for next week. But we connected this particular pasuk, Ani Chochma Shechanti Orma, with that Zohar in Bahalosecha. Remember, in Bahalosecha, that's the sidra in which this particular Zohar that we went through, that we read all the way through, is situated. Okay, anytime you want to, you can go ahead and just write out and say, yes, I know. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and leave that to you next week. So I can't go ahead and inform Rabbi Katz nor Rabbi Kramer of the achievement in terms of what you're doing this week. But I am positive and hopeful that such will be the case next week. Ani chochma shechanti orma sheshchuna satorah etzel bar das. The dwelling, as it were, of Torah is with the one who is a bar das, one who has knowledge. K'moshe kasav kutshabritchu yohev chochmasa lechakimin. Kadosh Baruch Hu gives chochma to the wise, gives his wisdom to the wise, gives the wisdom of the Torah to the wise. Okay, so that's the idea of the chochma dwelling, okay, that the dwelling place of Torah is with bar das, one who is a bar das. And then he brings a proof text to this to support this notion. Kutshabricha chochmasa lechat kimen. Kadosh Baruch Hu gives his chochma to the wise. Next page. Aval, we're right up here. Aval yesh shnei bechinas Torah. There's two types of Torah, two aspects of the Torah. Yesh bechinat nigle ubchinat nistar, aspect of open, revealed, and one that is hidden. This aspect of the Torah, which is hidden, one does not merit it until Lasid Lava, until the future, until Olam Habo. But in this world, this world, though, one still has the capability. It's interesting. It's like a contradiction in terms. You see, Rav Nachman says on the one hand that as far as the hidden Torah is concerned, one does not merit that until Lasid Lava, until the future with a capital F. Okay, not the future in terms of past, present, and future, but the future. The future, of course, being Olam Haba. So in other words, the hidden Torah, one doesn't merit that till the future. Olam Haba, Avol Bezel, but in this world, Zoche, Libchinas Nistar, Al Yidei Tefillah Nefesh. One merits this Torah by means, this Torah by means of tefillah with great self-sacrifice. So in other words, Rav Nachman seems to be saying, in Olam Haba, you get this hidden Torah. You know, it's almost natural. That's what's found there. These apprehensions of the hidden are what you go around enjoying over there. And you don't have that in this particular world. But you do have this possibility of attaining this hidden Torah in this world, but you achieve it differently than the manner in which you achieve it in the next world. And in this world, the way that you achieve it was via b'msirus nefesh, tefillah with great self-sacrifice. In other words, the nullification of oneself. And later on, Rav Nachman will explain to you, what does this mean, a tefillah of great self-sacrifice? What this means, okay? And we'll see why that is. And remember this term, because we will come back to it in due course. Now, Zocha al Torah shebenigla. Rav Nachman explains that tefillah, in order to merit prayer, really merit prayer, to be able to properly pray, to properly daven. And we're not talking about the mechanical aspects of daven. We're talking about the psycho-emotional aspect of man that is necessary for tefillah, which requires enormous amount of work. And in order to be able to achieve that proper state via which such tefillah b'msirus nefesh is possible. I'm just going to explain to this in 1 second. Tefillah zocha, one can actually get to this tefillah, get to the proper type tefillah by means of Torah shebenigla. In other words, revealed Torah, the open Torah, the Torah that we look at and we study if we have good for to be studying Torah, which I hope is the case. Ki ha-Torah shehi benigla hibchina Sinai. The Torah which is open, which is accessible, straightforward for us in terms of accessibility. He says this is the aspect of Sinai. Sinai, in other words, revealed. By definition, it's revealed. If it is revealed, then it is something which is accessible to us. Like the rabbis explained to us, Sinai v'oker horin hainayu odif. If you have a choice between two types of Torah scholars, one who is the aspect of Sinai, of Mount Sinai. In other words, this is the Torah that is of the revealed type. He is a Torah scholar who takes in the entire Torah, the broad swath of Torah. He has a comprehensive, or she, I should say, has a comprehensive knowledge of the Torah from beginning to end. Of course, you never can get to the end of it, but I mean in terms of an entire a viewpoint of Torah. It's called the Torah of Sinai. The other one is called an Oker Harim, one who uproots mountains. The one who uproots mountains. That's one whose mind is so sharp and is so profoundly sophisticated that scholar is capable of deriving halachot, laws, and insights by means of the power of his or her intellect. Okay. Now the Gemara asks the question in Brachos: which of these two is preferable? Okay. When it says preferable, which one of those is preferable? The Heshiva, the Gemara answers over there: Sinai Od. That Sinai, the scholar of Sinai, who has the aspect of Sinai, is better. Why is that? Ki hakol tzrichin lemorich itayu. It says over there, everyone needs the grain merchant. Everyone needs the grain merchant. Everyone needs, in other words, in order to buy bread, one needs to go ahead and the grain that you buy is not the grain that's in the field. You buy the grain that's already been harvested, that's already been ground, that is actually ready to be put into the oven to be baked. Okay, that's who you buy it from. So in other words, this scholar of Sinai is the one who knows all of that which has already, as it were, been harvested and prepared and put in front of us already without having to go through the entire process of derivation, which is in itself a magnificent. Everybody needs the grain merchant, says the Gemara. Everybody needs the revealed Torah in order to be able to know how to live your life as a proper Jew, proper human being. One needs the revealed Torah. One needs to know how to behave in any particular situation, how to deal with all different types of situations, how to be able to understand the order of civilization and creation, which in fact is all within the Torah. Aval haTorah shebenistar, we write down right over here. Aval haTorah shebenistar zeirin inun ditzrichen lo. That sealed Torah, that hidden Torah, okay, only a few required. In other words, it's only something which really is the realm of the great Torah scholars that actually work in that particular realm, that actually are able to access that realm, and that of course is a limited number of people. But for the vast majority of everyone in all of the situations of their lives, or the Torah scholar of Sinai is the one that is preferable. Okay, now Rav Nachman is now going to take this idea and he's going to work with this. He's going to take this, because don't forget that Rav Nachman has explained to us just a few lines above that in order to be able to access, to be able to create this type of tefillah which we aspire to, this tefillah of Mesiras Nefesh, okay, we merit this by means of Torah Shebenigla, the revealed Torah, okay, and that is the aspect of Sinai, the grain merchant, all right. So here we are. So he says this, Ubechina Sinai. Now, what is this power of this revealed Torah that gives us the capability of attaining this tefillah of Mesiras? So Rav Nachman explains the aspect of Sinai, hu bechina shiflis. He says it's the humility associated with this Torah and the acquisition, the means of acquisition of this Torah, what the Torah scholar has to go through in order to be able to attain this comprehensiveness of the revealed Torah. This is the aspect of humility. That's what it is. So the Torah of, is accompanied by definition with this quality of shiflut, of humility. Like Chazal said, Kadosh Baruch Hu left behind all of the mountains around and chose Har Sinai, even though, of course, it was a the other ones that were chosen a more magnificent, a higher, lofty, a grand a mountain, but that's not what a Kadosh Baruch Hu did. And there was a point to this that Chazal tell us over there in the Gemara in Sota. Omer shetfilas hashofel einim eset. They explain to us that the tefillah of the low, of the lowly, of the humble, those with humility, is never rejected, is not despised. In other words, it's always loved, it's always wanted and desired. This notion of the humility that accompanies, okay, the Torah of Sinai, the Torah of comprehensiveness, the Torah, the revealed Torah. In order to accomplish that task of acquiring it requires the humility. One has to put in massive amounts of time. One has to work very, very, very hard at it. One has to force one's mind to properly concentrate and not wander into all different types of areas and all types of creativity that possibly the mind might want to do. So one has to effectively constrict oneself in order to acquire that comprehensiveness. Okay, and that associates the achievement of comprehensiveness is shiflut, is the humility. So the person then acquires that aspect of shiflut, and that informs and becomes part and parcel of that particular person, that particular scholar, so that to the degree that I should say that the person's tefillah, that person also represents and is rooted in this shiflut. As the Gemara says, is that the tefillah hashofel ein nimeset, is that the tefillah of the lowly, of the humble, is never despised. In other words, it's always something which is preciously received and welcomed by a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Moshe Kasu, as the pasuk in Tehillim says, Leiv nishbar v'nidke Elokim lo sivzeh, is that a broken and contrite heart. Next page, right there. Let me get this up here for you. Contrite heart, God never rejects. The al yidei tefillah she b'miras nefesh, and by means of a tefillah, of a prayer, which is rooted in self-sacrifice, shemavatel kol gashmiyuso ve'ein gevul, the person rejects and nullifies all of his corporeality, all of his material being. That's the notion of this lowliness, the ein gevul, to the degree that he has no limitations anymore. Remember, the material actually establishes a limitation. Here's what it is, here's what it's not. The notion of the lowliness, in other words, the one where a person moves himself into nothingness, actually dramatically expands and extends this particular person to the point that there is no limitation on this person because there's no materiality. The materiality has been nullified by means of the Mesiras Nefesh, okay, to the point that he says, Ein gvul, there is no limitation. And because he has nullified his Gashmiuso, his materiality, to the degree that Ein gvul, he does not have this limitation anymore, Azai yachol la'asich haTorah shelo asud. That is when he is able to apprehend the Torah of the future, Olam Habo. Shehi ein gvul v'ein nitpeses b'gvul, because it is the Torah which has no limitation, cannot be bounded. There's no border or boundary with it because it's beyond time. The notion of Olam Habo is that which is beyond time. It precedes time, beyond time. There is no concept of it. It's the infinite realm of existence, and that is able to be accessed by means of Tefillah b'Mesiras Nefesh, which is achieved, which is acquired by means of Torah Shebnigled, the open revealed Torah, by the Torah scholar who is able to acquire this Torah of Sinai, this comprehensive, which necessitates this attribute be part and parcel of that person. Okay? That's where we are right now. Everybody with me? Everybody with me? Please do not holler all at once. I do this because I certainly need a breather from time to time. Again, catch my breath as clear my throat. So I ask you, see, there's method to this madness, to this pedagogical method, okay? That's the reason why we do this, just in case you were wondering. Okay, Pamela, Devora, Beryl, Yoshua, everybody's there. The gang's all here. Okay, let's go weiter. We're right over here. As I said, I enjoy going ahead and scribbling with this, even though it's far from a work of art. There's no question about this. Okay, now, on page 352, and this is going to be your homework assignment for next week. I know that we're going to go over it right here, but this is a very difficult section because this represents not only a very good example of the craftsmanship of Rav Nachman as a scholar, as a tzaddik, as a writer, as a teacher, all of these things. But this is a classic type of example of what Rav Nachman does. What he's going to do here, he's going to take a section from Bava Basra, from the Gemara in Bava Basra, which represents a certain genre of writing, which associate the stories, these very, very apocryphal type of stories that are associated to this great Talmudic sage, Rabba bar Chana. Rabba bar Chana. Rabba bar Chana is like this mystical figure, almost a quasi angelic, of figure that Rav Nachman uses in a number of his Torot, and then insinuates the story in the Torah in order to further derive and expand the lesson that he is working on. You'll see what I mean when we get into this particular story. And now, what you're going to have to do, and I'll explain to you what you have to do, you have actively, not passively, but actively engaging in this Torah study. I mean, what you're doing so far is great, but we're going to now go a step forward. What you need to do, you need a Tanakh. You need a Tanakh. Okay, you need a Tanakh in Hebrew, in English, good, whatever it is. If you're able to read Hebrew fluently, that's fantastic. If not, there are plenty of good works in Hebrew and English you can follow along, and you can see what it is that Rav Nachman is doing. Because what Rav Nachman oftentimes does in so many of his writings is that he illustrates an idea by means of bringing a proof text from psukim, from verses throughout Tanakh that he uses to capture an idea, to distill the meaning of a word, the depth of a word to a different level than what we might necessarily associate, to bring a different twist, a different angle on something. In certain ways, the language is expanded and greatly heightened in terms of this particular process. And that's what Rav Nachman is going to do. Let's go ahead and let's read this. And by the way, what I would suggest also, and I'm going to go ahead and use it here, In this particular lesson specifically, I think that the notation that our teachers at Breslov Research have done, below the text in this particular aspect of this story have been exceptionally valuable. It is, throughout the work, there is no question about that. But over here, I think they've done a fabulous job that I would like you to refer to. This many times you're going to have a question of what this is. Sometimes their statements and their notations are even more difficult for us to be able to understand. But over here, I think it is a very, very important accompanying companion over here as far as this text is concerned. You'll see what I mean. This is in the category of what we refer to as Agadah. Agadah. There's halacha and there's Agadah. Okay, halacha, we know what that means. That's law. The Talmud also has an enormous volume of what we refer to as Agadah, Aggadic literature, which is basically stories, tales, different kinds of things that we would call wisdom literature or something of that sort. But of course, this literature of the rabbis and this literary conceit that they use in order to express their ideas is exceptionally profound. Exceptionally profound. It may sound like a story, like a nice tale. It may even sound like a bovamais. People know, what a vamais is, right? I'm not going to go to an old wives' tale, whatever. Fine. That is the external facade for treasures that lie underneath the surface. And Rav Nachman helps us to go underneath the surface of these stories to be able to illustrate the depth and the treasures that truly are, which he then uses and brings back into his lesson. Then we can go and understand this by means of the illustration. Okay, so this Gemara, this Agadah that he's going to be in of Rabba Bar Chana, okay, is from Bava Basra, the Gemara Bava Basra, 73b, Ayin Gimel Amid Bet. Okay. V'zeh she'amar, right here, right over here. V'zeh she'amar Rabba Bar Chana. Okay. This is what Rabba Bar Chana, told us. L'didi chazile, this is all Aramaic, now understand. L'didi chazile ha'krukta. Akrukta, it's a great word. He said, I saw this akrukta. And akrukta, again, is Rashbam on the inside explains to us what an akrukta is. And akrukta is tzvardeya. Tzvardeya, as we know from the Haggadah, right? It's a frog. It's a frog. It's an akrukta, a great word. You can almost hear the word akrukta coming out of the mouth of the frog. What does a frog do? It akrukts. Okay, good. Akrukta. The havi ki akra the hagronya. Right? And this is not just an ordinary frog. The frog was as large as the town of Hagrunya. Right. Va'akra the Hagrunya kamahave. So how big was this town of Hagrunya? Kamahave, how big was it? It says Shitin Bote. It had 60 houses in it. I guess 60 houses must have been a substantial a town over there in wherever it was. Osa Tanina Below. It comes along over here, some type of a snake or whatever that, and swallows the frog. Also Pushkansa Uvlai Latanina. Then this bird came along over here. It's an orev, an orev in Hebrew. It's a raven. A raven came, and this raven went and it swallowed the snake. Uslek Yasiv Be'ilona. Then it goes ahead and it flew off and it sat on a tree limb. On a tree limb. Tochazi kam nafesh chelo di ilona. Come, see, Tochazi, how strong, come see how strong this tree must have been, that this bird, this orev, that swallowed this akrukta, this frog, that was, the size of 60 houses, the town of Agrunya. So it must have been a pretty strong tree to be able to support the weight of such a bird. Omer Rav Papa bar Shmuel, Rav Papa the son of Shmuel, then goes ahead and said, Ilav hosum lo hemne. Had I myself not been there, I would never have believed him. Who would have believed Rabbi Bar Chana telling us such a tale? Okay, that's the story. That's the Agadah. That's peace that Rav Nachman is now going to work with. Now he has a number of these pieces, over there in Bava Basra. These Aggadic tales are attributed to Rabbi Bar Chana. Okay, and they are always exceptionally profound, especially where and when Rav Nachman brings this story into his Torah to illustrate, to work, to deepen, to extend, to amplify the meaning of what Rav Nachman is working with. Okay? So says the following, akrukta. What does an akrukta? Perish Rabbeinu Shalom. Rashbam goes and explains that it's Svardeya. It's referring to a frog. He says, V'zeh b'chinas aliyat hayira l'shorsha. The notion of Svardeya, okay, is the aspect to the aliyah, the elevation of fear back to its root. Hainu das, which is das. Root frog is actually an allusion to that. Why is that? Ki tzvardeya hi mila mordet. Because the word tzvardeya is a composite word. Tzipor deya. It's made up of two words. Tzipor deya means, of course, knowledge. Okay. Tzipor hu bechinas yiro. A bird is an aspect of this attribute of yira. This attribute of yira. Really? Bechinat eretz. It's an aspect of land, of the earth. Okay, so land is an aspect of yira. We had this earlier in the lesson where Rav Nachman explained to us that eretz is an aspect of yira. Go back and take a look at that earlier as part of your homework assignment. Kamosha Kasu, as the verse goes ahead and says in Yashayahu, the prophet Yashayahu, chapter 24, Miknaf ha'aretz zmirot, right, from the corner. Knaf is the corner, like with the knaf pasil tcheles, like the corner of the beged that necessitates the chiyuv of tzitzis comes into being from the corner. Knaf, from the corner of the land. Zmirot come songs will first. Okay. The corner also is the notion of the, which is like a wing as well. It was kanfayim, notion of a wing. Ukamoshikos of mi ela osios elokim. Who are these? These are the letters of Elokim. Ka'ov tuafena, as a cloud that flies. Eya hishorash hayira. And das is the root of yira. The bird over here, the bird is the aspect of land. Knaf, wing, words, the wing of the land. What is the wing of the land? The wing of the land is a bird. Okay, so that's what it means in a kind of a poetic conceit. And Zmirot, these songs will come up from the bird. Zmirot, zemer also means the idea of pruning, separating one thing from the other. So from the corner, from the bird of the land, okay, will come up the Zmir. Don't forget the prophet Yeshayahu. If you don't know anything about him, prophet Yeshayahu is the prophet of of ultimate geula, of ultimate redemption. He speaks not only of the messianic, but of course even of the worlds that are messianic era. So much of what Yeshayahu, Isaiah, writes about is effectively dealing with the world to come, or the advent of the world to come. Keep that in mind when you take a look at that. The notion of the wing of the earth, the bird. Okay, songs will come up from that. And what does that have to do with the notion of Yira, of Yira? Okay, we'll give that to you. And he says that of course, has something that's connected to this word, mi'ela. Mi'ela are the letters of Elohim, of God, Elohim, and of course the creator of Masa Bereshis. Okay, Bereshis bara Elohim. Elohim is used all the way through Masa Bereshis, and we know that in the Gemara here, as well as in other places, mi'ela, Elohim, these. Who is the one that is creating these, referring to the creator? And then it goes ahead and brings this in of to a fena, as a cloud that flies, the fly of the cloud. V'deo he shorish yira, and da'as is the root of the year. So we have, which is the composite Svardea, which is Tzipor and Dea. How does the bird relate to da'as? And then, of course, all of that to Yira. That's something you're going to tell me next week. Okay? And if you don't tell me next week, at least think about it during the course of the week, and then we'll go over this. Then we'll all be prepared a little bit better. V'damyula akruda hagronya. It says that this frog is as large as the city, the town of Hagronya. It says Hagronya Lashon. That's phonetically it spells out Kra v'garon, cry out from the garon, which is the throat. That's the aspect of, because that's how we learn. As Chazal say, the Gemara in Erevin, lemotzi ehem b'peh. Right? They taught us like that. That in other words, the ones who express these words, lemotzi ehem b'peh, ki al yidei aliyas ayira lebchinas das, zochen l'tor shebenigla, by means of the elevation of Yira to the aspect of Das, one is able to merit the Torah of Nigla. Very interestingly, here Rav Nachman kind of turns this around. Rav Nachman is explained by means of the Torah Shebenigla, one is able to effectively merit Tefillah b'msiras nefesh, the realm of the Torah Shebenistar. Over here, Rav Nachman is going a little bit back the other way, by means of the elevation of Yira to the aspect of Das, one is then able to effectively access Torah Shebenigla, and one's able to merit it. Okay, now I could go ahead and give you a hint how that works. The aspect of Yira. The aspect of Yira, we understand that it's the notion of contraction as well. It's rooted in din. Din is the notion of contraction, of limitation, of bordering, a boundary. It's not as expansive. It's not expansive like chesed is. And of course, the notion of contraction and limitation connotes the concept of discipline. And of course, in order to be able to acquire the comprehensiveness of Torah, one requires enormous, and that of course is din, i.e. Yira. Okay, in order to be able to do that, that das is connected to it. What it is that you want to do, what your goal is, the means of being able to achieve that. Of course, das and yir are together, which then enables the individual by means of that tremendous self-contraction, that self-limitation and discipline that's at the heart of this. One is able to then go ahead and to acquire the comprehensiveness of Torah Shebenigla. Next, the Agra, the Hagron Yikamaha, The Gemara asked the question, the Agadata asked the question, how big was the town of Hagranya? How big was it? It said Shitin Bote, that it was 60 houses. Now, if you know you're talking about Torah Shebenigla, the revealed Torah, the open Torah, and the term 60 comes out, you know that there is an association between the oral law and the number 60. What would that be? Tell me. And this, I'm not going to go ahead and tell to Rabbi Katz and to Rabbi Kramer. Next week, we have bigger fish to fry over here, as it were. Why is 60 associated with the oral law, with Torah Shebenigla, the revealed Torah? Anybody? Nobody knows? How many tractates are there in the Mishnah of the oral law? How many tractates are there of the Mishnah and the Gemara and the Mishnah of the oral law? How many? You're right, 60. Very, very good. Okay, so this is associated with the Torah Nigla. Good. So they said, how big is the town of Hagronia? Shitin Bote, 60. He says, Zebchin's Tefillah. Rav Nachman says that's the aspect of Tefillah. The aspect of Tefillah is associated with 60 houses. How is that? Because when we call out to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, okay, with the descriptive imagery of basar badam, of flesh and blood. In other words, when we use humanist theology, otherwise known as anthropomorphism, in terms of calling out to God in prayer, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu allows himself to be available to us, even though we are called in this humanistic language, referring to him with this humanistic terms. This is, of course, from HaKadosh Baruch Hu's aspect, chesed. It's chesed. You know, he could say, "How dare you go ahead and use these type of this type of terminology to refer to me? I'm not basar v'dam, I'm not flesh and blood. I'm well beyond it." Because Baruch Hu allows. It's a notion again of great chesed, but it's also an expression of great, correct, anava, great. Kadosh Baruch Hu lowers himself to allow us to use this terminology, but this chesed and anava and din and contraction that is involved with this to allow us to be able to approach a Kadosh Baruch Hu with the terminology that we use in order to be able to access in our minds, in our hearts, you know, a kind of image of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, which we need in order to be able to pray to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's great chesed, because it shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be allowed. Why should the Creator, Hashem Echad, the one, the infinite one, who's beyond any type of description, who has no descriptive comparison with basar v'dam, with limited created things, allows himself to be able to refer to in prayer by this language, is an expression of great chesed. Ki im lo hayu b'chasdei Hashem Yisborach, lo hayu kedai likro lechanot et Hashem Yisborach b'ta'arim shvakim b'teibos v'osios. If not for this great chesed of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, it would certainly not have been appropriate at all. It would not have been allowed. It would not have been permitted. It would have been forbidden to call out with this type of terminology and expression and praise, using all of this language of human beings, the words, the letters. All of this is great chesed on the part of Hashem. He says, "B'zeh shitin bote." This is the 60 houses. Zeh b'chidas chesed. That's the aspect of the chesed. Why? B'chidas Avram. It's an aspect of Avram. K'moshe Kosev, as the verse states in Shir HaShirim, Shishim Hema Malachos. There are 60 Malach kingdoms. And Rashi explains over there. Next page, please. Over here, we're almost at the end of my time, and I don't want to go ahead and go over, so I'm going to go ahead and end right over here, and we'll continue on again next week. Says that the following is the case. I'm on the next one, right over here, right there. Zebachinas Avram. This is the aspect of Avram. Uvote Lashon Bote Malchus. Okay, and the houses denotes houses of kingship. You have to go into your homework next week to be able to explain how, in fact, that actually works. Okay, listen, I'm out of time at the moment. I've gone beyond where I should go. Would have easily gone on for another hour, whatever. But look through, not covered over here in this Agadata of Rabba Bar Chana, but look further. Go one night, because we'll go ahead and we will finish next week in Yirtzeh Hashem, all the way to page 360, all the way to paragraph 6, Ot Vav, if you don't mind. Okay? Anyway, thank you very, very much. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for your attendance. And I'll appreciate your homework. Thank you. Thank you, Yeshua. Good week to everybody. Shavuot Tov. And in Yirtzeh Hashem, we will learn together next week. I've had a chance to do this preparation. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Kol Tov.